You know how Dante in Devil May Cry loses his weapons, his equipment, and sometimes even his styles throughout the different games? So what if Dante was able to keep all of those things across the entire Devil May Cry franchise? And don't worry, we're going to include the novels as well.
There's no need to worry, right?
To share how strong Dante is normally, Dante is half demon and half human. Having this mix provides Dante with even more power than a normal demon would have. He is also wielding Devil Sword Dante, which is a combination of the Rebellion and the Sword of Sparta from his father. Both of these swords individually are powerful and are remnants of his father, but together they take him to a whole nother level. So how does this work exactly? Well, opposite of his brother Virgil's sword, the Yamato, the Rebellion has the ability to combine demon weapons like these two, hence the creation of Devil Sword Dante. Like I said, this weapon unlocks his Sen Devil Trigger form, which we have in Devil May Cry 5. This is what propelled Dante from being bodied by Urizen at the beginning of Devil May Cry 5 to being able to defeat Urizen later. And the Urizen that he initially defeated had been amped for about a month off of human blood, and then would later get defeated again after consuming a Qlipoth fruit, which is the same item that Mundus, the original king of the underworld, would use to propel himself to become the king. Then there are obviously some other items that he's accrued, like the Cavalier or Dr. Foss. But these are all items that Dante keeps anyway. We're going to continue on everything else to see how much more insane Dante would be. So here we are going to assume that Dante never lost or sold anything across any of the games or the novels, like I said earlier, and nothing changed within the story as well. Everything would remain exactly the same. Also, I want to give a quick thanks to Make It Weird Studio. They are helping out with creating all the videos and other things like that. They are super awesome. Make sure to check out the link below for the description to check them out. So we have some styles here, and the first one I want to get into is Quicksilver. So this has a description that it is a time-controlling style in which the player can move at lightning quick speeds. Imagine how quickly Dante can move already, and then we allow him to slow down time at will. He's going to move faster through demons and DMC4 distortion deletes bosses with Gilgamesh. Another style is Doppelganger. So Doppelganger is what allows Dante to create copies of himself in a shadow form. So this one's important because keep in mind, everything that we're about to go over will only be amplified with this style. As in game, Dante can create a single copy, but in the description, it would lead you to believe that Dante actually can create several of these copies. And then we have Elastor. This gives the possessor of this weapon lightning speed and aerial capabilities. This weapon was retrieved in Devil May Cry 1 and would only amplify his speed even further. But I wanted to add into here that with Dante's base strength being so strong by the end of Devil May Cry 5, and while yes in Sin Devil Trigger form he is on another level, Dante being able to go through his Devil Trigger and Sin Devil Trigger forms with aerial and lightning combinations from Elastor would only add to his maneuverability and destructive power. Let's continue on with more time manipulation and speed amplifiers, because that's the trend that we're on anyway. So the Bangle of Time, it's retrieved in a special mission within Devil May Cry 1 and allows Dante to stop time all around him. This works so well that the enemies can't even flinch until they are returned back to normal. Then we have the Key of Cronus. In Devil May Cry 4, it's noted that it's crafted of concentrated magical energies, and it can manipulate the very fabric of space and time. If Dante was able to utilize this power with Quicksilver and everything else we just talked about, Dante is going to be the fastest in this series by a lot.
How's that for road rash?
This puts Dante at having 3 different types of items that are going to mess with time on top of the other ones that are going to help amplify his speed, which is already going to be insane with the multipliers that he has already. So Nightmare Beta. No, not the demon that was created by Mundus that has the power to destroy the infinite underworld, but the weapon that Dante can pick up in Devil May Cry 1 that shoots the blasts like Nightmare does. There's not much else on this other than I like to think at a highball that this would have the same destructive power as Nightmare, but it probably wouldn't, but I can hope, right? So the Beast Heads, this one a lot of you may not know. The Beast Heads are from the Devil May Cry 2 novel, and they allow the wielder to foresee every mode of attack before the attacker even knew that they wanted to throw the attack. Within the novel, it also notes that it is rumored that if the owner of the beast heads is backed into a corner, it will increase its power. So originally, Chen, the cannibal, consumes the beast heads to receive all of its power. Doing this, it provides him with infinite knowledge, including something like Sparta's own swordsmanship, which Dante realizes in their fight and struggles with. Even with all of this power, Dante himself was able to defeat Chen, but it wasn't without taking a beating himself. This would be the first time that I believe Dante has taken a significant beating, up until Urizen. Keep in mind, in the same novel, Dante had defeated Void Mundus, who was the embodiment of the underworld, who was from a parallel universe. Compared to the one that we see in the main series at the end of Devil May Cry 1, Void Mundus was more powerful. Along with Dante defeated him by himself, instead of needing help from Trish at the very end of the first game. So imagine this Dante, but only significantly stronger, as we have gone over already, and should he decide to consume the beast heads, he would be omniscient, along with the ability to see every future as well as the past. Now that we have Dante at levels of power that are typically only seen in omnipotent comic book characters, the rest of the cherry on top. So Pandora.
He wasn't kidding. It's like an all-you-can-eat buffet.
This devil arm is something that we saw in Devil May Cry 4, and in-game we only see a handful of different transformations, but it's noted that it has 666 different forms to spell disaster on their foes. Gilgamesh. This devil arm is made of a metal that can be mined from the bedrock of the underworld. When Dante uses this in Devil May Cry 4, we see it provide power to his hands and feet to destroy a Hellgate. Along with this, we actually see a demon that goes by the name of Gilgamesh, that is fused with demon flesh, where it's noted that this armor is harder than steel. The type of material goes hand in hand with these small differences, however. Lucifer. In the Deadly Fortune novel, which takes place within Devil May Cry 4, we hear more on this devil arm specifically, where Dante is able to fight with Burial in Devil May Cry 4, and decides to pick up Lucifer before the fight starts. Burial doesn't believe Dante and that he was able to defeat the mighty demon Lucifer, as Burial was a friend with him and Lucifer was powerful in the underworld. In Burial's frustration, he attempts to defeat Dante, but Dante shows off the power of Lucifer, where this devil arm spawns countless explosive blades that hover until they are released by the wielder. With this, Dante was able to defeat Burial, the king of the fire hell.
Bruh.
The Yamato. I imagine this one doesn't need much of an explanation, but why not? This weapon is the main weapon that Virgil uses throughout the series.
You got that right.
The Yamato, when swung, is so powerful that it is capable of cutting through space-time itself, which quite literally cuts open a dimensional ripple between the world of the living and the underworld. Along with this, Nero was able to use the power from this weapon to help him become powerful enough to defeat Sanctus in Devil May Cry 4, where Dante does mumble to himself that he believed Nero at this point to be stronger than himself, where Nero wasn't even using the cutting power of the Yamato, just simply the power that the blade wields. Balrog. This demon was the second in command to Argisax, who was the main baddie at the end of Devil May Cry 2. Balrog is also noted to be more powerful than Burial with the Fire Hell. Keep in mind that in Deadly Fortune, we learned that Burial's fire was so hot that Nero had shot the Blue Rose at Burial, and the bullets weren't able to reach Burial, as they would melt before reaching him. So take this into account, as Balrog's fire would be at minimum the same power and temperature, along with Dante himself being able to sit on Burial's fire with no risk of being burned himself. Then something that I came up with that I thought would be funny to include would be the Super Dante forms, since Dante has infinite Devil Trigger in those. Anyways, last thing I want to note is that Devil May Cry Peak of Combat has been confirmed that it is canon to the main series and that it takes place between Devil May Cry 3 and 1. So, the note proving that Dante can move at immeasurable speed stands, along with the 9th dimensional mention of human souls and how the Sparta lineage would be able to utilize this. Anyways, thanks for watching the video. If you want to see more like this, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next one.